Hello, everyone. Ha, this is going to be a maiden voyage here. I wanted to share with you a dream that I had and I guess dig into it and pull out whatever insight there is to offer from it. I'm going to do my best to keep a firm chokehold on my ADHD and try to keep the telling of this dream as linear as I possibly can. I'm not confident that that's gonna happen, but I will do my best. I'm trying to visualize the start of the dream and just try. I'm gonna try to make it like a movie in my mind and then talk through it. But like I said, I have ADHD tendencies, so the dream that I had, it started out with me and a group of people in a house, and this was an apocalypse situation. And we were fighting with this whole group of people that had gathered outside the front of the house and they were trying to get in. The vibe that I get from those people was that they were just going to come in and take over. Like they weren't interested in sharing resources. Like they weren't looking for help or to join the community. They were just trying to take over. And so we were fighting them. They were out in the street and we were inside the house. We were on the porch and we were fighting them from the porch. And eventually they were like, all right, that's enough. And so they left because they realized they weren't gonna, we weren't gonna give up and let them just take over. And so everyone came back inside the house and, they were dispersing to deal with wounded people and recover, I guess. And when I went back inside the house, there was a woman standing part of the way up the stairs. She had her back to me and she had long, dark hair. And the way that she was standing on the stairs, it was like she had one foot up on the next stair, but most of her weight was back, if that makes sense. It was back. Her foot was just up on the next step, but she wasn't mid-step. This is all important, I swear. These are important details. And I told her she needed to leave because I was like, what are you doing in here? You can't be in here. We're not letting anybody come in. And she didn't turn around. The entire conversation we had, she kept her back to me. And she didn't sound nervous, scared, or anything. She was just talking at a normal tone, just relaxed. And she basically asked to stay. And she said, I don't have anywhere else to go. And the energy was different from the people outside of the house, the gang of people, where they wanted to come in and take over. She had the energy of wanting to join the community and wanting to collaborate and be peaceful about it. She just wanted to come in and help and also have a place to stay and where she could be safe. We were talking back and forth, and again, the whole time she has her back to me. And she doesn't even look over her shoulder or anything. She just faces forward, looking up the steps. And she had her hand on the railing. And I was standing at the bottom of the stairs and I was looking up at her. And she was like, will you let me stay? And I said, yes. And then I woke up right after that. As I sat with the energy of the dream, the longer that I thought about it, I realized that I was the woman on the stairs, was the high priestess, my inner high priestess energy speaking to me. I've said in various ways and in different videos about how much of a struggle it's been for me to trust my own intuition and make my own mind up about things. I was living in a place where people thrived on me doubting myself. And so it's been a lot of hard work and a long time coming. They're playing cricket right now on both fields. There's two groups of people playing cricket, so it might get loud. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but what was I saying? The ADHD is wily, man. Slipped right out of that chokehold. Anyway, so I guess I was talking about how much I was struggling to keep a hold on my intuition and to not doubt myself. Like I said, I was around people who benefited from me not having any confidence and not liking myself very much. And so I think this dream signified me finally climbing over that last hurdle and fully embracing the fact that I am highly intuitive and I am fully capable of, how do I say this? I guess I have to kind of get into the energy of the high priestess to fully explain this. I'm taking that as confirmation. If you're not familiar with tarot, the high priestess is represented, she's 2. So she's the second card after the Fool. And I think the reason that she is the second card, she's not after the Fool, she's after the Magician. What am I saying? The Fool is 0, the Magician, and then the high priestess. So that step of the journey coming from the Magician's energy, which is gathering all of the tools and taking stock of what you have. The high priestess is someone who is now going within and taking all of those tools and putting them to work. And that means integrating all of those energies and all of that power, all of the elements together. And like I said, going within and pulling whatever is inside out and using it, which is when we move into the Empress, which is, right? Yes. So a lot of the high priestess energy is internal. And so it's that inner knowing and that inner sense of strength. And like I said, this dream is like a representation of me finally stepping into that and saying, taking all of that stuff that I had inside of me and bringing it out. Which is why I believe the whole dream is super symbolic. Like the fact that she's on the staircase, which in dreams, stairs represent like a transition between one place and another. It's like hallways in dreams. If you're ever dreaming about like a long hallway or a long staircase, it's about being in a transitional state. And the fact that she's part of the way up the stairs means it's almost like she's inviting me and saying, we can go further. We can go beyond, but you have to let me in. You have to give me permission to do so. And the fact that she's not mid-step, but like ready to take that next step and she's just waiting for my permission to do so, is saying, this is all on my terms. It's up to me to say, let's go. Like, it's up to me to follow her on this journey and let her lead me. And the fact that the entire time that we are speaking, she has her back to me and she's not afraid of me, you know, being aggressive towards it. Like, that's a very vulnerable position, to have your back to someone who might be aggressive, you know? And that in and of itself says, you know, she's not worried about what I might do because she knows the answer. She already knows that I'm going to say yes. She already knows that I'm ready. She's just waiting for me to realize that I'm ready. Because that's the High Priestess. She knows everything. And not in that know-it-all way that people tend to get their dander up about, where they're like, oh, you're a know-it-all. This is more just knowing and letting you come to the conclusion on your own. Like, she's already there. She's 12 steps ahead of you. She's just looking back and saying, take your time. I'll wait. And another layer of symbolism there is the fact that I never see her face. The High Priestess is also very mysterious, almost the same energy as the Moon card in tarot. Just that mystery, that very ethereal, unknowable essence that comes with the High Priestess card. I think the High Priestess is Pisces energy, which, if you've ever met a Pisces, they're pretty tough to pin down. They're all over the place, but in like a fun way, to me anyway. But that's because I'm a Virgo, so they're like my sister sign. Usually that means that there's tension and beef, but I have a lot of other placements that lead me to be open to play with energies that are different from me, so I'm more open to that playfulness. I have a lot of Leo in my chart. That's what it is. And Leo is all about like childlike playfulness energy. And so I think that's where that comes from, where I'm like, there's zero tension with me in Pisces placements, because it's just like, no, that's a cousin. But yes, so the dream. Even the words that she specifically says, where she says, will you let me stay? Will you let me in? And then she just waits. And the thing is, I had already decided that she wasn't a threat from the second that I realized she was just standing there with her back to me, and she wasn't being, the way that she was standing on the stairs, like I said, it was just very much, I know I belong here. I'm just waiting for you to give me permission. There was very much that peacefulness to it. There's a spider on me. Okay, there we go. So much for the ADHD chokehold. It's not working very well. It was the fact that, lost in the sauce here, she wasn't very far up the stairs, you know. She's only about a third of the way up the stairs, but, you know, just like that's partially in, you know, just gently suggesting. Everything about that was saying to me, you can trust her and it's okay to let her in. I actually sat with the energy of this dream and I meditated and opened myself up to letting her in. And so I meditated And I sort of visualized myself back in that dream state. And instead of looking at it from the perspective within the dream, I looked at it for what the dream was trying to tell me. So I was standing with my inner high priestess and accepting her in and allowing her to take the wheel, so to speak. I can definitely say that sitting with that energy, there is a shift. So maybe you are like me and you might want to get into that. So I will have a little link to a little visualization of the meditation that I followed, like a little script thing that you can look at and work your way through if you want to. I'll put it in the box, you know where to look for information. This is YouTube. I feel like everybody knows by now. We really don't have to say. Like, just say I have a link for it, and people should know where to go. But anyway, I will have that available. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yes, stuff that came up after integrating that energy. Around that time, I was dealing with the friction of my hyper independent state and how it's gone from a protective thing and something that helps me into being something that's basically crippling me. And that's any and every quality that a person could have. There's the shadow and the light. It's just like tarot. Like all the cards, whether they're inherently like the written and universally accepted definition is good or bad, dark or light, there's still room to fall on the other side. It just depends on the other energies around it and the circumstances. Everything is flexible. That's the thing I like about tarot. There's so much interpretation that could happen. And there's so many different ways that people would see cards and their meanings that are just, it's a whole spectrum. And I love that. That's because I'm Virgo sun, heavily mutable. I love that energy of being anything and everything all at once. But I had to really confront the shadow aspect of me being so damn independent, and that there were people who actually wanted to really help me, and I was not letting them help me because I was just so damn set on, I got it, I can do it, I don't need any help. And that's years and years of people saying, oh, Ghosty's good, she doesn't need any help, she's fine. And finding myself in situations where I desperately did need help and not getting it. Thinking about, and this is a slight trigger warning, I'm gonna, just brush up against this, but I'll say it anyway, abuse, especially childhood abuse. I had a situation when I was very, very young, and at the time I didn't fully understand what had happened. And before I even had the language to explain it, and by the time I did start getting the language and like a full, clear understanding of what it was that had happened, I was already starting to deal with the like my body and my mind and my spirit were outwardly expressing the ill effects of what had happened to me. And this was before I was even consciously able to express it. And so before I was even out of grade school, I would say like that last year in like 5th grade, things really tanked for me. I was going through a really tough time. And in the minds of everyone around me, it was just because, oh, she's going into middle school, you know, she's gonna be like she's that preteen, so she's gonna be moody, and it's just hormones and it's emotions and whatever. I was so very clearly asking for help with my actions. Looking back on all of the things that I was dealing with, it was a cry for help. And the people who were supposed to help me were focused on the wrong thing. And again, I was not consciously aware of what had happened. I just knew, my body knew that it was wrong. And I didn't get any help. I did not get the help that I was supposed to get. And that was probably the first time that I was ever let down by the adults around me. And it, of course, it happens once. And at such an early age, it sets the tone for the rest of your life. It really does. And so I learned, even if I really need help and it's obvious that I need help, I'm not going to get it. And prior to that, I was the good child. You know, the trope of being the easy child. Ghosty doesn't need help. And so all of that energy leaves a mark, and it becomes very much enmeshed in who you are as a person. And so the point that I'm in my life, where I'm surrounded by all of these people saying, let me help you, I want to help you, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what to do with that. It's like giving a tennis racket to a cat. Like, what do you want me to do with this? What would you like me to do with this? So I had to tear that shit down. And that, I'm still working on it, but I'm making a lot of progress. I've made more progress ever since I had the dream to now, which this dream was a while ago. But yeah, it's been slow, and there's still moments where I have to catch myself when someone asks me if I want help, and I'm like, no. Immediately, like, that pops into my, no. That I had to learn to pause, and stop myself from immediately rejecting the help and actually let myself say yes. Even if it's something that I can do it. I know I can do it. Everybody knows I can do it. I don't have anything to prove. I have nothing to prove anymore. I have been through so much, and I've done so much, and I've survived so much. I don't have a thing to prove. Confirmation. That is absolutely confirmation for me. So here I am accomplishing and overcoming one more obstacle. It's just another obstacle. It's just another hurdle. What's one more, you know? It's light work at this point. And it really is light work. It's literally light work to work on oneself and dig up that shadow and bring it into the sun and let it shrivel up and die. Let it shrivel up and die. But yeah, I did that. I am still doing that, but definitely a lot better at it than I was. And it's becoming easier. That's like going to the gym. Or stepping on the gas. Once you get going, it's gonna go. Just like that. That's how it is. And that's how it's going to be for me, I think. All of this stuff is just going to keep getting easier and easier until I don't even have to think about it. Like, I'm so excited for the moment where someone asks me for help and I immediately say yes. Sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm working on it, but I'm almost there. Is there anything else? Did something else come up that I wanted to? No. I think that's everything. So yeah, that was what I dreamt and what came from the dream. What hatched out of that egg. Hopefully something that I said in this whole thing resonated. Hopefully something touched your little heart space. Like I said, if you would like to integrate and maybe even just dip your toe into meeting your inner high priestess, I will leave the meditation that I followed in the box. Also, I've never done this before on a video, but I feel like I can do it on one of these. I usually don't do it on my yoga videos, but this is different. So if you enjoyed this, throw your girl a like. And if you would like more, please subscribe. That was really weird for me. Hopefully I get used to doing that more as I go. We'll see what happens. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Anyway, thank you so much for sitting with me, and I hope that you have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah, weekend. It's gonna be Thursday when I post this. So yeah, enjoy your weekend.